Okay, now I'm going to move on to the bass clef, show you the notes in here. Again, we're going to be thinking about the circle of thirds. Okay, I'm going to start off just telling you what notes are in the bass clef, and then we're going to compare the bass clef to the treble clef, see how they're very similar, and you can use the similarity between them to begin to understand one or the other. So if you started in the treble clef, then you'll have a simple method to learn the bass clef and vice versa. Okay, so let's start off with the first line, just like we did with the treble clef. Okay, so the first line of the bass clef is going to be the note G. Again, we're just going to use the circle of thirds, so we're going to start on the word good. Good bands deserve fans and. Okay, and you can probably guess the note above this, C, would be after the A and cash, but I'll get into that in a second. We're going to move on now to the spaces in the bass clef here, and the first note in the space is going to be an A. So you have and, cash, every, good. That's kind of a weird thing to say, so if you want to come up for a saying for the spaces, think all cows eat grass. And you can kind of think of it in your head, think of cows on a field. What do they always do? All cows eat grass. And I'll write that right here. So we have all cows eat grass. A, C, E, G. Those are the notes for the spaces in your bass clef. I think it's a little too complicated to come up with another saying for the lines of the bass clef. And the reason is because when we compare these, when we look at the treble clef, we see it starts on E. So we have E going to G, every good. Okay, so we're focusing on the bass clef, so I'm not going to get too much into that. But just to compare these, when we see the bass clef, we see it starts on G, which is good. So we see those are just one away from each other, or in other words, a third. So when you think of the notes on a bass clef compared to a treble clef, just know that it's always going to be a third up. Okay, so when we think of a treble clef, we think of the note E, but if we think of the next note would be every good, would be a G. So just think of a third above every note that would be in your treble clef. This might overcomplicate it, or this might help you. So just see if it'll help you or not. This helped me personally. Since I started on my treble clef, I would then come here to the bass clef, and since I studied the treble clef so much, I instantly see this, and I used to think E. Then from there, I would just think, okay, what's a third above that? Or in the thing, every good, what's the next word? So if I have E, every, I just think good, G, so I know this starts on a G, and then after this, I'm going up the same order. Good, bands, deserve, fans, and. You can do this for any note. So now I can look at any note in the bass clef or the treble clef, and I can instantly see what note it is. But when I first started off, like I was saying, I only studied the treble clef, so I really memorized those notes. Then I moved on to the bass clef. So anytime I would look at the bass clef, and I would see this middle note, I would instantly think a B, and then I would go, okay, B, what's above that? It's a D. Again, you don't have to think the words every time, so that's just in the very beginning your training wheels. After that, you're going to want to take away the words and just memorize it as it is. So what I did was GBD face. And of course, face is just spelling out F-A-C-E. So you have GBD face or GBD face, if you kind of want to make it funny and sort of pronounce it like that. These little things will help you remind it. So you could say GBD face every time you're looking at this. Okay, and again, that's that note above this is going to be C. Okay, and this is where, again, we're still comparing the treble clef and the bass clef, and this is where everything connects. Is that note below the treble clef I told you was middle C. We see C-E. Cash, every good band deserves fans. It all makes sense. It's the thirds. And if we look at this, starting on the G for the bass clef, sorry if I'm going a little quick here, but this is going to be a review. G, so we have good. Good bands deserve fans, and then we have cash above that. So we have the C. This C, that is one line above the last line of the bass clef, is the same.